Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Hyams here and Super Bowl champion Seahawk fan Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how are you doing today?
I'm still over here again for the second time today. I'm good, man. I am good. Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Parades this afternoon. I'm not going to the parade. I'm not that nuts. Relatively low stress game for me, Chad. I feel like I didn't do it, but I feel like I could have gone into public and watched the game. There wasn't a lot of, the Hawks kind of handled them. And so I didn't, of course. I stayed home with my wife and children in case things did get out of hand and I didn't want to make a fool of myself in public. But yeah, feels good, man. We get a whole year where we get to be the best team in football, and maybe next year somebody can try to knock us off, but it's going to be tough, man. We might be building a dynasty here in Seattle, Chad.
All right, Bob, look, I was being nice. I was giving you your props. I was giving you some celebration time for all the mocking that I bring to you. Let's not get so silly about this dynasty thing.
I don't know, man. You've seen our roster, and
yes, I'm putting money now that they are not in the Super Bowl, possibly don't even make the playoffs.
Well, okay. I got money on we'll make the playoffs.
We might want to talk about that off air. Right. Yet I was definitely going to recognize
Chad's taking bets. Any Seahawks fans out there, Chad Hyams is the book for Seahawks don't make the playoffs.
Don't make the playoffs. They don't even make it through the division and get anywhere.
Wow.
Let's not
some
be
hating ass hater stuff right there, y'all.
No, I'm a Cowboy hater. I'm just a Seahawk taunter. Got it. There's a difference in that. Bob, look, here's the thing. You were committed to that Super Bowl. I was just interested in it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The difference between committed or are you just interested, and why everything feels important while nothing actually happens. Bob, we've talked about priorities before. I think we can go a little bit deeper this time, though.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're the only ones, Chad, that struggle with really staying focused on, the number one priority. And I'll probably put myself ahead of you with the struggle on keeping my priorities straight. But it's, when you're an entrepreneur, there's a million things to do every day. You're constantly being bombarded on the internet by shiny objects, and God forbid you ever go to a conference and you walk through a trade show floor. There's just so much you could be doing any day to move your business or your life ahead. It's okay, what am I committed to actually doing?
Yeah, it's a huge thing, Bob. I've had the pleasure of knowing people who didn't go to the Olympics. Right. And what I mean by that is there was a guy I went to high school with. Actually, I guess it was public school even before we got to high school. And there was a sister of a woman that I was dating for a while. We're both training to get to the Olympics. And I have never seen a commitment like that. I bring that up now because the Olympics are on, right? The commitment it takes to get to the Olympics shows the difference between being committed to something and just interested in doing it. Neither of them made it because they both one day woke up and said, I'm done. One of my friends was a swimmer, and I remember he never could do anything socially. He was always coming into school a little late for the first period because he had to go swimming in the morning. He had to go swimming right after school, so he had to leave right after class every time. He couldn't participate in any of the extra stuff. We'd only see him really at lunchtime. And then one day he was there. And he was like, I don't want to do it anymore. Swimming's interesting. I'm no longer committed. And I'm just so interested to see the parallels of that level into entrepreneurship and the level some of our people have achieved.
Yeah. I mean, I had a chance to have a kind of a front row seat to a kid who went to the NBA, Chad, and I would describe him as nothing other than 100% committed. This was a little boy that in, sixth grade I literally, from the time I met that he was in fifth grade, I never saw him without a basketball one time in my life. He would come, my little brother's age, he'd come stay the night at our house. He literally slept with his basketball on the couch under his arm. That's the level of commitment that it takes to, become one of the top 0.001% in the world at anything. Right. And the Olympics is no different. These people are top 0.001% of whatever they're doing, and they didn't get there by being interested in it.
Absolutely. And we know there are many entrepreneurs out there who the challenge is they have a successful business, yet they're interested in their business. They haven't even taken it to that level because they've never truly fully committed, Bob. They just had some success and then they reached a level of comfortability where they were achieving a lifestyle they were very happy with, never flipped over into that committed. And that might be some of you that are listening today. You might have said, when I really look at this, have I truly been committed? Or have I just been interested and had some success along the way because of it? So, Bob, entrepreneurs, they don't struggle with opportunity. What they struggle with is priority, right? Not priorities. I want everyone to hear that. That's a singular word. They struggle with priority. If everything feels important, nothing moves at all. And I want you to know, folks, I can put anybody in this situation and we can find your priority. Bob, look, I know the kids don't listen to the podcast. They might one day. If they don't listen to the podcast, this could be therapy sessions for one of them. If they were on opposite ends of the house and there was a fire and you could only make a choice and go rescue one of them, you couldn't get to both. Don't answer because we don't want the kids to ever hear this episode. Yet, Bob, in your head, you've selected one of the kids over the other.
I mean, I think the reality, look, as a parent of two children in a fire, like I would die. I'd get one of them, but the second one I would die trying to save.
Right.
Without
but
question.
You went to one of them first. Hear that,
Sure.
Right, folks? And I'm not trying to make Bob feel badly here, and I'm not making any of our parents. This is why I only had one, right? Just in case. You went to one of them first. Now, you might have gone to the weaker one thinking the stronger one had the better chance of surviving it. You might have gone to one of them just because, they got that much more potential than the other. So I'm going to let this one have the chance at life, whatever it's going to be. And it's that way with business, folks. It's that way when everything feels important, nothing happens. Yet if I put you in a situation where you really were in a life and death position to choose one, you could figure out what the priority is. And oftentimes we don't go that part. We just stay at, I'm interested. I'm just not fully committed, Bob.
Chad, let's talk. So let's define interested in something versus committed to something.
Okay. Which one do you want to take, Bob?
I'll take.
You want to be interested or committed?
Yeah, I'll be interested.
All right. So Bob, tell us, what is interested?
So interested would be, I'm definitely protecting my comfort, Chad. Like if it requires that I get uncomfortable, I'm probably not going to go do that thing because I'm not committed to that thing. I'm interested in that thing, right? So An interested individual is kind of protecting their comfort. I would say that I'm probably like motivated when convenient, right, Chad? I'm like, like I'm going to make those calls because, everything else is taken care of and I don't really got anything else going on and it's convenient right now. So let me do it. But I think interested people find motivation when it's convenient or it's not uncomfortable for them.
Okay.
I would say interested people are probably, how do I want to put this? Like, it's like more talk, less action. Yeah, it's not like no action, right? But it's like the talk to action ratio on an interested person is much more talk, much less action.
Yep, absolutely.
I would say interested people they're like subject to shiny object syndrome more than the committed, right? They get pulled by something that looks appealing or cool or good, or in some cases they get pulled by things that just look different than the monotony of what the committed person is doing every day in and day out. And I think the interested people, like they want, Chad, the interested person wants the upside of all of the options, but they want to leave all the options on the table. right?
Yeah.
Like
they won't close any doors.
Yeah, they won't close any doors. They won't focus on anything particular, because some of those other things that I might have to eliminate, they could actually be good for me too. And that could get me a little bit further in the business. Oh, and that thing over there could add a deal this year. But the interested person's focus is distracted. It's constantly looking from place to place, and it's never saying, no, that's not good enough. I would also say the interested person settles a lot for good enough, right, Chad? The interested person goes, oh, you know what? We got that thing there. That process that's good enough. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the next. They never really dial anything into, I don't want to say perfection, because I don't think we ever get there, right? But they're constantly spreading their focus to different things, because they don't know what is the number one priority. I don't know. Those would be some things that
a great list.
That interested individuals, kind of how they show up.
Yeah, I think that's a great list, Bob. Audience, if you're honest with yourself, did Bob just describe you? Because if he did, you're probably just interested. Now, let me give you a list of things that committed people do, and maybe they should be committed. Some people think because they do these things. One, they adjust even when it's inconvenient. Like, even when it's not a good time or a good situation, they're going to make the adjustments that need to happen, right? That's the person, Bob, we've talked about this on past episodes, that knows they need to remove that team member, yet that team member brings in a lot of results. They're still going to say, hey, it's going to be inconvenient on me to lose that income, yet that team member, that associate needs to go. I will make that adjustment even in inconvenient times. Yeah. They will protect their time, right? And I don't know how many times Ben's door's been closed, and it's like, if you knock on my door, I'll shoot you, right? Do not come in here. This is my time to do what needs to be done, as he was building organizations, building things he's doing. Committed people respect their calendar around the timeframes they've put on it. They eliminate all the distractions possible. They're the ones whose phones never beep at them. They miss text messages. They miss calls. They miss that stuff because their phone's not alerting them and distracting them. They know how to they sit with their back to the window instead of looking at that gorgeous view because they don't want the distraction of what's out there. They eliminate distractions along the way, Bob. They are happy being discomfortable, right? You said, interested people want to keep that comfort level. They want to stay in that comfort. I'm not saying that committed people are like seeking to be uncomfortable. They are absolutely accepting it, though, when it comes along, knowing that it's for their own good.
Here, I might push you a little bit on that one, because I do like the really successful people that I've come across in my life. I don't think they hunt out discomfort necessarily, but I do think that when they encounter it, they lean into it, Chad, because they realize that, man, on the other side of that thing is growth. On the other side of that thing is probably a better system for our team. On the other side of that discomfort is like a better version of me. And so while they're not walking around every day going, where's their discomfort? Please show up in my world. When it does show up, they go, you know what? I got to lean into that thing. Like, I don't know that. And that's a little bit uncomfortable that I didn't know that in that conversation. Let me go study up on that, right? They lean into that discomfort.
Yeah. Absolutely correct, Bob. They make trade-offs very visible. People can look at them and say, wow, that person is not doing this because they chose to do that. That person didn't take that vacation. That person maybe isn't at every kid's soccer game because the choice they made was to be committed to this success because of the long-term plan for their family, not just interested, and they'll find the excuses. And Bob, one of the things you said about interested people was they kind of want all the options. Right? They want, I'll order everything on the menu because I don't know what's going to taste just right. People who are committed burn the boats, right? They're the ones who get there and say, no, we have one win. That's it. There aren't all these options out there. It's we take that hill. We survive this. We go through them because we're not going back, and they will burn that boat. Okay. What we want you to understand is Interested people, they can be interesting too, yet interested people hope it works, while committed people will get every excuse out of the way.
Chad, can you think of a time when you were like committed to something to the point where it forced you to eliminate something else?
Yes. Multiple times in my health, right? Training for a marathon, I made choices not to go out, not to have a drink, not to eat that piece of food while I was in training, to reshape my body. It was, I had to eliminate this. And I was committed to the outcome that was ahead of me, that one clear win I was shooting for. And there were no things that would distract me. There were no things that would get in the way of it, Bob, right? How about you? I'm going to put you on the spot. Other side, are there times where you've been interested, yet not fully committed, even though maybe other people wanted you to be?
It's funny. I have early on in our career, we owned a pretty successful real estate brokerage here in Western Washington. And then we started something else. I'm kind of answering both sides of this because it came out of the same kind of coin, right? And then we started this software product essentially. And we had these two things. And the first thing, which I would say, like that first thing, Chad, the real estate brokerage became something that we were interested in, but we committed to the software company. And for a while, almost to the detriment of that real estate company and the people that were there, like we were just kind of interested in that thing, but not committed. And we kept it for probably longer than we should have while we were committed on this other thing. And the reality is, now that I think back to it, it wasn't until we said, because we weren't really committed to either. We were kind of interested in both, right? Okay. But we ended up having to say, like, we have to commit to one of these. And so the one that, for really our commitment was over on the software company. And I think the brokerage, for longer than we should have let it, was just an interest for us, Chad. And ultimately we had to give it up because we realized neither one of these things is getting the full attention, right? And so we sold the real estate brokerage to somebody where that was their commitment, instead of it just being this interest for us. And the reality was, we weren't running it properly because we were focused on this other thing, but we weren't even committed to that other thing because we still had, thing one there. So yeah.
That's right. So sure. You eliminated the distraction, you burned the boats and focused on the one win. You became committed to the second opportunity because you were
easy, by the way. It wasn't easy.
It
like
never
that.
is.
The real estate company was paying our bills. And so we basically sold it for kind of a chunk of money that allowed us to pay our bills for a couple months. But it was like all hands were in now on the thing we were committed to, because we had burned the bridges. Like, we'd burned the bridges with a 3-month supply of food, right? And we were like, okay, we got to make this thing work now. But again, it was because we did that we were able to focus over those next 3 months to get to a place where, we weren't dying on the deserted island, as it were.
Yeah, Bob, I want to get to kind of the reason everything starts to feel important. And I want to open it with a quote from Warren Buffett. I think everyone can agree that he's a pretty smart guy, right? Warren said the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. Right? He's not saying between failures. He's not saying between average people. He's not saying between normal people. He's saying between successful and very successful. That's the difference that shows up, is saying no to almost everything. Then that way they don't end up having too many options. They have that narrow vision. They can always come back and apologize and say yes later if they realize it was something they needed. Yet, Bob, if you want to be very successful, saying no should be a go-to phrase for you.
I'm trying, Chad. I'm trying over here.
I know it's been a challenge with you. Look, here's the thing. Entrepreneurs fall into this trap, Bob. A new idea could be, some leverage could come from it, or a new connection. Of course, it means opportunity because, oh my God, that connection could bring this. And then new project, it feels like growth, and a new platform is new exposure. So they're on every social network because it's new exposure. It's new opportunity. The thing is, when you lack commitment, everything feels urgent. You inflate that urgency of everything else because any one of those things, as you said earlier, it could be the one. So I should have 10 plates spinning because I don't know which plate is going to be the one that's going to succeed for me. That's someone who's just interested, not someone who said, no, I'm knocking down those 9 plates because I'm going to make sure this one plate spins successfully.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Bob, when that happens, what are some of the things that entrepreneurs find themselves doing? It's one of the things you did a lot as you were adapting and changing and becoming more committed.
I mean, when you have your focus spread too thin, because that's what it is here, right? It's not that I can't focus on certain things, but it's like when my focus is spread too thin. I know when we, like, I just go back to the example I was using earlier. We got mediocre results out of both things, Chad.
Yep.
You're constantly pivoting. Like, I can remember days where, 10 different times I'm going back and forth between the businesses. I'm pivoting all the time, right? I mean, we had a developer team that they were confused. Like, I'd call Jorgen up and be like, hey, what happened to that thing that we're doing for the real estate company? And he's like, sorry, John pulled me off on the thing for the software company, and I've been working on that for the last 2 days. So there becomes confusion amongst the team.
Yep.
I mean, ultimately, it creates, like, I know during those years, probably some of the highest mental fatigue, Chad, that I've had in my career, because there was the weight of always moving back and forth between these things. There's the weight of realizing that the mediocre work we're putting in is not getting the results out of either one of them that we were expecting or that we'd modeled out. That mental fatigue, working too hard in multiple places, constantly moving back and forth, you start to, again, probably the highest feelings of burnout in my career were during that time of, and this was only, now look, this was 2 things. Now there's 2 entrepreneurial endeavors are going to have lots of things inside of them, but really I'm like splitting my focus between 2 things is creating all of these, these kind of real world damaging scenarios that when you're in them, by the way, it's only with like reflection looking back do you realize how inefficient you were, how much opportunity you actually left on the table. Like, it wasn't, leaving all these extra doors open didn't actually lead to more opportunity. It really made us leave opportunity on the table that we wouldn't have had we been focused just in one of those endeavors. So I don't know, man. I think the hardest part is when you're in it, it's really hard to see how inefficient you are. It's really hard to see these costs of being, simply interested versus committed, Chad. It's really, really hard when you're in it.
Yes, right. And folks, when you have divided attention, you get divided results. And neither of them are going to be as good as one of them could have been when you make the commitment. Look, I'm going to be clear. I don't think there's anybody who knows me that doesn't know that I have most tremendous respect, admiration for Ben, right? He is a dear friend of mine. He's been a mentor for years now, right? He's been someone you can always rely on. And Bob, you and I have had the pleasure of being around as Ben makes many new opportunities. And it's probably the thing that drives me the craziest about Ben, because he is such a committed person. He's never just interested. When we launched Win, Make, Give, that man was committed to making sure Win, Make, Give was the best podcast ever, right? We were there. He was helping us find some amazing guests. He was writing the scripts down and saying, guys, I want this said, right? And then as soon as something else comes along, Ben's committed to that and we can't get a hold of him, right? We're like, wait, I still need an answer on this. Committed. He burns the bridge, moves on. He had his real estate team. Does he still have his foot in it? Of course he does. Yet it went on to Brivity. It went on to this. It went on to Play.
Let's talk about how he's able to do that, though, because what he does, Chad, is
he leaves someone behind.
He leaves, like in Win May Give, he left us behind, right? We're the ones committed to it now. You talk to real estate team, it's Jolene that's left behind.
Right.
And yes, he burns the bridge because he doesn't really walk back into those businesses very often, but he's got a bat phone to the other side of the bridge, right? Like, so, and David Wiggs would be a great example at Brivity. Like there's just Chris Stewart is kind of becoming that example at Envoy Mortgage. And so like all these different things we have in our world, which all require somebody to be committed to them. What Ben's realized is generally to get them off the ground to the point where you can convince somebody else to be committed into it, you got to be committed into it. So he's really good at getting committed to something, bringing up that person that he's going to leave the commitment to, and then burning his bridge on the way to the next thing that he's going to decide.
He gets them to commit, and then off he goes, right? And folks, that's leadership.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that he has to, or any of you have to always keep your finger in everything that's going on. It's you have to be committed to it until you can find the person that can replace you while you then go become committed to something else. And now you're just interested in what you've built behind you just to make sure it continues to thrive and survive. Yet you've got someone else driving that commitment. Bob, when you're truly committed, decisions get easier.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have to choose between things. When you're truly committed, you stop reacting. You start protecting. Distractions do not seem to have as much weight. That shiny object is a little less shiny over there when you are committed to what's in front of you, right? So you start thinking things like, if this was the only thing that mattered to me this week, this month, this quarter, whatever it be, what would you eliminate to make sure it happened? Ask yourself that question. You'll start to learn. Are you just interested because you don't want to eliminate anything? Or are you truly committed and willing to take that next step? Bob, we got a little test for our audience here, right? So let's walk them through their commitment test. I just gave them one question that could answer it. Here's what we want you to know. Choose that one thing you think matters most. So Bob, choose one thing in your work you think matters most. You can do this with your family. You can do this with your finances. You can do this with everything. That's how we are here at Win, Make, Give. You can do it with your health, right? First question to ask yourself, folks, write this question down so you remember it and you can ask yourself this again and again. 1, what have I eliminated because of this?
Yeah. Like if I'm selecting a top priority, other things had to have been eliminated. Like I'm not committed to anything unless something else had to go to the wayside.
I got committed to my wife, right? When Nita came into my life, got committed to my life. What did I have to eliminate? I had to eliminate going on dates.
Yeah.
Right? That had to be eliminated, Bob. I had to eliminate some of the things that I did in like video games because that wasn't something that was of interest to my wife, and that was something that was just taking time away. I was committed to her, not just interested.
Are we going to do? Wait, we could do this. We could do all these questions on the marriage commitment, right? What the next?
Yes.
The next question is, what discomfort have I accepted? And since my wife doesn't listen to this, I got a whole list.
Yeah, everybody, stop listening. Bob and I are going to just vent it out here, right? But Bob just gave you question 2. What discomfort have I accepted? There are going to be things that are that bring discomfort,
uncomfortable.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say discomfortable, which I think I said earlier, which is not a word. Yet I had both of them mixed in my head, right? Discomfort is going to come. Bob mentioned it earlier. Lean into it if it's part of something that you're committed to. Don't go looking for it. Yet what discomfort have I accepted? Is that the discomfort of making those phone calls? Is that the discomfort of having to change some of my routines and habits because I'm bringing someone to my life? Is that discomfort, things that I've had to choose, change, or do? I have to get up earlier to get that workout in, whatever it is.
Chad, I like this last one. What am I willing to lose to gain this thing?
Yes.
I think that's a really great question, right? Like, am I willing to lose this opportunity over here to go knock down this one? And almost always, like, not even almost always, in a case where you're committed, you had to have been willing to lose or give up something else.
Yeah, folks, if nothing's changed, you're interested, not committed. So make the commitment to whatever that is. And there can't be 5 commitments. There's a commitment. Now, there could be different commitments in different areas of your life, so you could have some commitment. But in your health, there's a commitment. In your relationship, there's probably a commitment. In your finances, in your business, in all of it, your leadership, your legacy, there's a commitment. Go find it and commit to it. Just like those Olympic athletes do for their training, just like the Blue Angels do. How much did we hear from our Blue Angel pilot about all the commitment they had to make? They sit literally at desks, Bob, and lean like they're flying and doing stuff. There is commitment.
Wait, what was his call sign? Johnny Bananas, or what was it?
Mittens.
Anyway. Oh yeah, Johnny Mittens.
Johnny Mittens, if I remember, or maybe Kittens. It was a Mittens or a Kittens. I'll have to go back and check. Folks, we want commitment from our people.
Hey, by the way, really quick side note on him. So if you ever go to Hawaii and you go to the island that Pearl Harbor's on, he runs the Pearl Harbor Air Museum now. And so like the next time we go there, I've reached out to him, like we're going to go get a tour of the Pearl Harbor Air Museum. And anyway, if you guys are ever at Pearl Harbor, let him know Win Make Give sent you, and Johnny Kittens will hook you up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see him on social media every now and then letting us know what's going on out there. And that is a man who was committed, right? Picked up his family, moved them to Hawaii to make this happen, to take that next opportunity. Folks, there's something you're probably just interested in. It's time to make the choice. Are you ready to become committed? Here at Win Make Give, we know Bob and Chad should be committed. Not committed, yet committed. You know what I mean. Until our next episode, do good.